Real politics now, and we're going to focus on the presidential race again. As of tonight, we're just 159 days away from the election. President Obama out to a lead of over 2 points again, and according to Real Clear Politics, his lead up a half a point in the polls just this week. Of course, that's the popular vote. Ask Al Gore if winning that gets you the White House. So earlier this week, we outlined the electoral math, what each candidate has to do to win enough states and electoral votes to win the White House. These are the states that President Obama is banking on, and if this map that we're about to show you looks familiar, it's because they're the states that John Kerry won in 2004. There we go, the states in blue. Obama leads in all of the polls in these states, and if he wins them on election night, he'll have 246 electoral votes, and he'll need just 24 more to win a second term. Mitt Romney also has a firewall of states that he is banking on. Those would be the states that John McCain won 4 years ago. As we look at the map, Romney leads in all of the red states right now. Add them all up, and Romney gets to 180 electoral votes. That leaves him 90 electoral votes short of the promised land. So the winner this November will be the man who wins the most electoral votes from the states that weren't colored in on either map. Those would be the swing states. And today we got some polling numbers on 4 of them. The first one, Nevada. Obama ahead by 2 points. Colorado looking more and more like a must-win for Romney. Obama by 1 in that poll. Iowa is all tied up in the latest poll at 44%. And Missouri has Obama by 1, that in a democratically leaning state. Now, keep in mind the president could lose all 4 of those states and still have a number of paths to get to the 270 electoral votes that he would need to win re-election. And I know there's at least one other poker player at the table tonight, and once again I'm starting with Tom, I apologize. It's sort of an inside straight for Romney at this point. He needs to win more of the toss-up states to win the White House, correct?
Yeah, I mean, but I think that if you look at it, I think that, you know, the Arizonas, the North Carolinas, the Floridas, which I feel very confident about right now, I think that really this election, we're going to be sitting there on Labor Day, and we're going to be looking at, once again, Ohio, where today, you know, Romney has a 1-point lead, and a state that I think really we're going to look at, I think it has 6 electoral votes, and that's Wisconsin. Because I think
it's 10.
10, which would be very important, because I think that come next week, the Democrats are going to suffer a very, very devastating loss that the Obama White House is going to wish they never went down the road of trying to do the recall on Walker, because they're going to have spent a lot of money. They're going to have put the unions back in a corner somewhere. And it's a state right now that Romney's only down 6. And that is a state that when you're talking in such a close election, which I really think it's going to be, that you pick up a state that you don't think you're going to pick up could make a big difference.
Yeah, I think that I agree in terms of, you know, Wisconsin's going to be a bellwether. But I think when you look at the broader picture and what Romney needs to do is he needs to continue the message to attract the independents. I mean, that's clear, because those are that's why they're swing states. These swing states are not ones that are naturally.
If you've been pushed to the right.
Well, he has been pushed. This is the challenge, because as we all have seen in the primary, you know, it was a leapfrog to the right, and that's where Romney went, and he was, I think, called himself an extreme or severe conservative. But in reality, he's going to start sliding back. It's easy for him to do. I think that's the more natural way. He was governor of Massachusetts. Let's not kid ourselves. He has Romney Care in health care. The guy somewhere deep down, you know, behind his fuse box and the mechanics that are in his chest, there is a heart in there, and I think people are going to see that, and I think that's where he's going to be able to start to thrive. He is obviously and clearly uncomfortable to the right. Everyone knows that. That's why he hasn't endeared himself to the right.
Well, what we found is that with Obama, all of this so-called expert conventional wisdom completely out the window. There were some traditional states in which he was expected to win, and he actually did. And there were some that he won, you know, he did very well. But I'm not willing to go out there in terms of conventional math. This race is going to be very, very close, and it's going to come down to the independents, and any of these swing states can go either way.
Absolutely.
Obama or
everything is so close everywhere here. To me, it could go completely in either direction. We've seen that in recent elections, and I think we have a number of cycles to go until things start to clear themselves up.
Andrew, here's the one problem for the president, and this is the number everybody should always remain focused on. Anytime an incumbent is sitting at around 45, that's a real problem for him, because anybody who is undecided at this point is going to break and numbers are looking like they're going to break 70-30 for Romney.
Where are you getting that from?
Well, if you look at history, if you look at historically, undecided people going into a general election who have not made up their mind at this point will go 7-3 for the guy running against the incumbent. That's what history told us. And I'm just saying is that anytime an incumbent is at 45 going into an election, they're going to wind up losing the election.
All right, Tom, you sound a little too optimistic now. Let's annoy you next with the next piece of video. This one
Am
coming...
I too optimistic for myself or you? That's the question I have. It seems like I disturbed you with that analysis.
Coming courtesy of the Obama campaign. If you hear steam, that's coming from Tom. Let's take a look.
If people want to know what I stand for, they can look at my record as governor.
Mitt Romney was not an effective leader in Massachusetts, and the proof is in the pudding.
When Governor Romney became governor of Massachusetts, many of the issues that our country faces were at our doorstep. And there was great hope that Governor Romney could deliver. He didn't deliver.
What we heard from Mitt Romney during the campaign was the no new taxes pledge. And he found very quickly, once he was in office, that he couldn't deliver on any services without having sufficient resources. So he raised our taxes by raising our fees.
The only place that I remember Mitt Romney actually cutting taxes was for the 278 wealthiest families in our state.
Under the Romney administration, we accumulated the greatest debt buildup of any state in the country. That's after a campaign promise to do exactly the opposite.
He used debt to pay for annual operations costs. That's like paying your rent on your credit card.
Romney economics doesn't work. It didn't work in Massachusetts, and it's not going to work in Washington.
Romney running on two basic planks, his strength of his business experience and his experience when he was leading Massachusetts. Went after Bain earlier in the campaign. Brad, do you think going after his record in Massachusetts is going to work?
Absolutely, you have to. I mean, this is, again, you have a track record for Obama, you have a track record for Romney. I think what this ad basically says is that, you know, we can all say what we want to say during this debate and these campaign times, but at the end of the day, when you're put on the spot and you have to govern, how is that going to work? I think the big question that people should have been asking all the time is to all the candidates, except for the incumbent, the president, is, you know, how are you going to deal with a potentially split Congress? And when you poll the people, things are coming out 50-50, and you have to make really, really tough decisions. How are you going to handle that? How are you going to be better or different from the current president? Because I would like to know those answers. That's the answer about governing, what you're going to do in those cases.
Dominic, before Mount say Doherty explodes, your take?
Effective ad. It's what the Obama folks should be doing. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Either you have the record or you don't. And we know what Mr. Romney says he did at Bain and so on. But in terms of government, what have you really done? And if you're Obama, because if I'm Romney, what I want to do is I want to coast until Election Day. You let this be all about the first African-American president and coast until Election Day. And if he does that, Romney will win. But if Obama can flip this and make this race about Romney's record, term number 2 for President Obama.
Mr. Sunshine?
Well, I mean, here's what I'll respond to you, is that I think that when Mitt Romney was governor of Massachusetts, what everybody forgets is he didn't run a monarchy. He had a Democratic-controlled legislature, and it allows you to do only so much. Governing is about...
Why doesn't that apply to the president?
Because the president, for the first 2 years of his presidency, had the entire House, the entire Senate, and what did he do? He did nothing on immigration, which he promised Hispanics in the last campaign he would do something on, didn't even talk about it. And what did he do? He passed Obamacare with Nancy Pelosi saving his skin. The point is that when you govern, you need to look at the dynamics of what you're governing with. A governor of Massachusetts certainly has to work with the opposing party and doesn't wind up getting everything they want to get.
By the way, just, you know, the truth is, it's not so easy for Democrats to work with other Democrats. It's not like Republicans.
Right. When it comes to Latinos, who do you think they feel will give them a better shot based on polling? Obama or Romney?
I think based on polling right now that there is no question that they are leaning towards heavily going back to Obama. But in poll after poll, there clearly is an underlying presence that they are greatly disappointed in a president who made him a very big promise. And if Romney and the Republican Party can figure out a way to reach them and connect with them, the opportunity exists because they are not happy with this president.